Konnichiwa, minasan. Since the research-based argument tends to pose some of the same challenges for students, I am taking this time to give group feedback on drafts. But before I do, remember that I have not highlighted every error in or concern about your draft as an editor might do. I have given you individual feedback on what should be reflected upon and addressed more globally. So don't spot fix. Do not presume something is correct just because I do not comment about it specifically. Instead, engage global revisions, even if based upon feedback targeted on a word, sentence, paragraph, or idea. Here's the big one that most students struggle with: background versus argument. Instead of reporting what exists in the landscape of your topic, you must integrate your sources, your evidence to support your reasoning and ultimately convince your audience of your claim. Your readers should be able to articulate your thesis by the end of your introduction and understand the direction your argument will take, otherwise known as road mapping. You will lose them if what comes after the introduction is a section that simply shares background. While literature reviews, for example, are conventional in some disciplines, the research-based argument is too short for such discussion. Instead, utilize your sources to support your argument. It will engage your readers more fully and keep them sharp as to your thesis. Regarding citations, first, when should you cite a portion of your essay? Cite whenever a reader may ask, how do you know? Whether that be a definition, a statistic, or a conclusion proffered by someone else. Second, referencing a New York Times or similar type of article about the results of a study, a letter to the governor, a congressional bill, etc., is not as credible as the primary source. Make sure you have actually reviewed the most reliable source, and then cite that. In our previous examples, that would mean the actual study, the letter itself, the bill. Third, make sure your sources actually assert what you say they do. Factual accuracy is essential, not only ethically, but also to boost and maintain your credibility. Don't presume I will not check your sources, or that if I point out the inaccuracy attributed to one source, that I haven't noticed the others. Fourth, consider sources in their totality, not simply the ones that support the argument you want to make. Confirmation bias can be damaging to your ability to persuade your audience and frankly robs you of learning. A former student, for example, argued the reasons Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher has been the sole woman to hold that office, all the while neglecting Prime Minister Theresa May. Unintentional, yes. A hit to the credibility of the thesis, also yes. Fifth, make sure you comply with the requirements of the citation style you are using. Also, in my course, your bibliography requires the citation style as its subtitle. Sixth, yes, your essay requires a bibliography. Your citation style may traditionally require instead a work cited or references, but in addition, I require a bibliography, which not only lists those sources you cited in your essay, but also those you reviewed as you curated sources. Again, you may have both, but this assignment requires a bibliography. Finally, the undefined this. This is the reason. They believed this. What of this? Don't leave open the opportunity for your audience to misunderstand your meaning. Answer the question for them. This what? This phobia is the reason. They believed this assertion. What of this impasse? You get the idea. Remember that your target audience is beyond this course, not limited to your peers or me, but instead including a wider academic community that will be reasonably skeptical of your argument and thesis and must be convinced. A goal of this essay and many communications is to draw in an audience that is not captive, that does not have to engage you in any way. That's why titles are so important. Strong titles entice your target reader to, in this case, pick up your text out of everything else they could read. In your introduction, relate to audience values, interests, or intellectual curiosity to demonstrate your topic's relevance to their lives. Be clear about what you are claiming, your thesis, and the connections that are to come. Roadmap, signpost. Keep your target audience reading with a well-organized argument that integrates your evidence. That's the body of your RBA. Finally, leave them thinking about your text with food for thought, even after they put it down. Your conclusion. Any questions? Let me know. You may also meet with a writing tutor to consult on revisions.